I probably look a little bit shadowy right now and kind of orange from what I can see on the camera. One of the lights blew out, so I'm going to be a little bit darker during this review, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going to chug on, and we're going to talk about Game of Thrones right now. Now, to start out this episode review, I want to talk about what happens with the wildlings and Jon Snow and Ygritte and all of those people, because you see them a couple different times in this episode, so I'm just gonna clump that together. I really like how they're fleshing out the relationship between Jon and Ygritte. They're giving it a lot of time to flourish and make it feel very real and get me attached to both of these characters, which probably means they're gonna die. I really like them as a couple, and I said that last week, but I honestly just really think they have great chemistry together, and I like the scenes they had together. So seeing that progressed well enough. They're walking around somewhere in the north, I'm not sure where. Then you have a really good scene with Marjorie and Sansa where Marjorie convinces Sansa that Tyrion might not be all that bad, and I really enjoyed that scene because, you know, Sansa's really feeling terrible right now because of how stupid she says she is, because of what she believes and all these dreams she has. And I really do feel bad for her because she just kind of wants to be happy and just not be in these terrible places anymore, but they just keep keeping her there. And who knows, maybe she and Tyrion could be happy. That's probably not gonna happen, but you know, there's a chance. Then you see Shay and Tyrion and they're talking about what happened last week, and I just feel like that Shay is going to probably not be with Tyrion within the next few episodes. She just doesn't seem like she's gonna stick around if he's going to marry Sansa. She seems really jealous, to be honest. She seemed like that really early on this season, and she seems like the type of person who would just be jealous over every little detail, so I don't really like her. And Ira finally left the Brotherhood. They were gonna go, now they're going to rob some Lannisters or something, and she just finally gets up and leaves, runs away, and then I didn't expect this, to be honest. She gets captured by Sandor, or the Hound, and that seems, that's gonna be a pretty interesting relationship considering she hates him and he doesn't really like her that much. Like you even see in the preview next week, she has a rock over his head. I doubt he'll die, but I found that to be pretty interesting, because now she left one clan she doesn't like for another person she doesn't like. She just really can't catch a break with the people she travels with. And Gendry finally found out that he was Robert Baratheon's son, which I think is really interesting. I really like where this storyline with him and Melisandre is going. It's just started, but I really think that they can actually make something of this. Maybe he'll join Stannis' army, maybe he'll even be king one day. That's also not gonna happen. All my predictions are terrible, by the way. And we get to see one more scene of the storyline that I care about. Apparently, the showmakers don't, because they give us one scene per week of Jojen and Brienne and all those other characters. You see them once a week at most, and they just really don't progress anything. Now, Usha doesn't want them to listen to Jojen, and she tells them a story. To be honest, I really don't like that they're not progressing this that much. They're still just somewhere in the north, and yeah, it was pretty interesting to hear Usha's story and what happened to her beyond the wall, but I don't really care about this right now. I want to. I think it's an interesting storyline, but they're just not doing anything with it, so that was a little bit disappointing for me. And the one thing I forgot from earlier on the show, you see Robb and Talisa, and apparently they're having a kid now, so I don't know what Robb is going to exactly do at this point. Like, he's going to get Walder Frey and his army and marry Edmure to his daughter, and I just feel like Robb is just not really doing much this season. He's going down this weird path that doesn't seem like it's gonna lead to the right places. I don't think Walder Frey is a trustworthy person. I don't like him, and everyone talks about him like he's a piece of shit, so I'm not sure why Robb is entrusting him so much. But we'll see how it goes, because they're probably gonna get to his place next episode, and we'll see how that goes. And of course, we have the weekly Theon torture scene, which, Jesus Christ, this guy, I mean, what's wrong with him? I get that he gets joy in torturing Theon. I don't know why specifically he's torturing Theon. You didn't have to cut his dick off, which is essentially what they implied he did, but just didn't show. I get this guy's evil now. I want to know who he is. I really hope they reveal it before the end of this season, because if they don't, I'll be disappointed that we just saw Theon get tortured for a season and that's it, because I get it. This guy's evil at this point. He's done the worst shit that he could possibly do, to me at least, So I want to know who he is, I want to know more about this situation. And last but certainly not least, we have the storyline between Jaime and Brienne, and what I really liked about this was they're really making Jaime into a really likable character. And he's come pretty far from pushing a kid out a window in the first episode, because he's going to King's Landing, but then they tell him what they're going to do to Brienne, so he goes back, and you just see her in this pit fighting a bear with a wooden sword, and that's brutal. That's torture. That's torture on the levels of that weirdo who's torturing Theon. It's brutal, and he goes down to save her, and this was a really intense scene. I loved it. It was very well filmed. Fighting a bear is one of the things that just seems so terrifying, because they're just huge masses that don't really get injured. Like, someone shoots the thing with an arrow, it kind of like scratches at it for a few seconds, but it just kind of shakes it off. It's like, you would have to have a shotgun to put that thing down, and they don't have shotguns back then, so you'd be screwed with a wooden sword. But now Jaime and Brienne are both going to King's Landing, so I'm happy about that. I'm happy they're safe. For once, one of these episodes ends on a happy note, you know? I mean, we have Roz's death, Jaime getting his hand cut off, you have some pretty depressing stuff to end episodes with, so I'm glad we got to see at least one episode that ends kinda nicely. There was no Littlefinger this week, but that's understandable considering he's probably still on his way to the Eyrie. So I really enjoyed this episode. I was a little bit disappointed with the Bran storyline and how they're not doing anything with it. But I'm still gonna give this episode an A. It progresses most of the storylines very well. I enjoyed it a lot. And I can't wait for next week, so if you guys have seen this episode, I hope you have. I just spoiled just about everything in the episode. What'd you think of it? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? How do you feel about these Theon torture scenes? I mean, they make me cringe every time I see them. Write beautiful comments down there and tell me what you think. And if you like this video, hit that subscribe button down there, because if you don't, we'll have to cut off a very important appendage, if you know what I mean.